Okay, today we are going to be focusing on personal narratives, and we have two different objectives today. So our first one is I can write a personal narrative using sequencing words and create a project on Scratch to match the personal narrative. Our other objectives is I can describe what a personal narrative is and give an example. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about personal narratives, and we're also going to be reading the book called Jabari Jumps. So, first, what I would want to do is I would like to talk about what a personal narrative is. And if I was actually teaching a class, then I would um, be doing the anchor chart with them. But since I don't have students yet, I decided to just pull it up on Pinterest, the one that I felt like would work best for my third graders. So, for a personal narrative, you want to focus on a small moment in your life. It's not the whole story, it's just a small moment. There will be a beginning, middle, and end. You need to be able to describe people, places, and things. You want people to really be able to see what you're talking about. Tell how you feel and use lots of dialogue as well. Those are the most important things when making your personal narrative. So that's the anchor chart that I would do with my class. And then we're going to go ahead and read Jabari Jumps. And while we're reading this, we're going to be looking for the different features of a personal narrative in the story. So, is this story talking about a small moment in Jabari's life? Does it have a clear beginning, middle, and end? And does it have just good descriptions? And also, is there dialogue? Remember, dialogue is one that has those quotation marks around it when someone is talking. Okay, so Jabari Jumps. I'm jumping off the diving board today, Jabari told his dad. Really? Said his dad. So, already right there, I can see that they're using dialogue in this story. And is that a feature of our personal narratives? Yes, it is. The diving board was high and maybe a little scary, but Jabari had finished his swimming lessons and passed his swim test, and now he was ready to jump. Has anyone ever done a swim test before? I know when I worked at Lifetime, we did swim tests there, so I have a personal connection to that as well. I'm a great jumper, said Jabari, so I'm not scared at all. What are some features that you're noticing so far on these pages? Jabari watched the other kids climb the long ladder. They walked all the way out to the end of the board, as big as tiny bugs. Then they stood on the edge. They spread their arms and bent their knees and sprang up, up, up. And then they dove down, down, down. Splash! Looks easy, Jabari said. But when his dad squeezed his hand, Jabari squeezed back. Jabari stood at the bottom of the ladder. He looked up. You can go before me if you want, he told the kid behind him. I need to think about what kind of special jump I'm going to do. Jabari thought and thought. How do you think Jabari might be feeling right now? Because remember, a personal narrative talks about how they're feeling. So we can use our context clues to figure out how he's feeling right now. Jabari started to climb up and up. This ladder is very tall, he thought. Are you okay? Called his dad. I'm just a little tired, said Jabari. Maybe you should climb down and take a tiny rest, said his dad. A tiny rest sounded like a good idea. When we got to the bottom, Jabari remembered something. I forgot to do my stretches, he said to his dad. Stretching is very important, said his dad. I think tomorrow might be a better day for jumping, Jabari said. They looked up at the diving board together. It's okay to feel a little scared, said his dad. Sometimes, if I feel a little scared, I take a deep breath and tell myself I'm ready. And you know what? Sometimes it stops, feeling scary and feels a little like a surprise. Jabari loved surprises. Okay, what is a feature of a personal narrative that they're talking about on this page here? Jabari took a deep breath and felt it fill his body from the ends of his hair right down to the tip of his toes. Jabari looked up. He began to climb up and up and up and up until he got to the top. Jabari stood up straight. He walked all the way to the end of the board. His toes curled around the rough edge. Jabari looked out as far as he could see. He felt like he was ready. "I love surprises," he whispered. So he remembered what his dad told him. He took a deep breath and spread his arms and bent his knees. Then he sprang up off the board, flying. Jabari hit the water with a splash. Down, down, down he went, and then back up. Whoosh! "Jabari, you did it," said his dad. "I did it," said Jabari. "I'm a great jumper." "And you know what?" "What?" said his dad. So again, they're using dialogue. See those quotation marks right there? That means they're using dialogue. Someone is talking. His dad is talking there. Surprise double backflip is next. Okay, so now I want you to think to yourself, what were some of the features of a personal narrative that were in this book, Jabari Jumps? I'll give you about 30 seconds to think to yourself. Remember, if you need help, you can look back at our anchor chart to help you kind of remember what are the features of a personal narrative. Okay, now I would like you to turn and talk to a partner about the different features in Jabari Jump. So what you just thought in your head, now you're going to turn and talk to a partner about that. Okay, thank you for turning and talking to your neighbor. Now we're going to come back together and you're going to share with me some of the features of our personal narrative that were in Jabari Jumps. Okay, so then I would have students share with me what features they found in Jabari Jumps. So, like the first one, focus on a small moment in your life. So I would ask, okay, so did the book Jabari Jumps focus on a small moment in his life? And then we would just talk about how Jabari is working up the courage to go on a diving board. It has a clear beginning. So in the beginning, he is going to the pool and he's really nervous about it. The middle, you can kind of see him walking up towards it, right? So he's walking towards the diving board. And he's having some anxiety about it. He's getting really worried about it. He's not so sure if he wants to do it. And then at the end, he jumps off the diving board. And he says that a backflip might be next. So there is a clear beginning, middle, and end. And remember, when you're doing your personal narrative, there needs to be a clear beginning, middle, and end. We need to know, okay, that's the beginning of your story, that's the middle of your story, and then there's the end. Okay, so that's really important. Okay, the next feature we're going to think about is describing people, places, and things. So can we visually see when this author was writing Does it give us good detail? I'm going to read a page that shows good detail, and I want you to kind of close your eyes and think to yourself, can you visualize this in your head? Okay. So this is a page that I'm going to read. So it says, when I got to the bottom, Jabari remembered something. I forgot to do my stretches, he said to his dad. Stretching is very important, said his dad. So when I read this, I have a picture in my head. What's the picture that you have in your head of this? Go ahead and turn and talk to a partner, and then we will go over that together. Okay, thank you for turning and talking to a partner. I heard some people talking about how they could see him stretching. That's what I visualized. I could see him stretching, and I could see his face a little bit nervous. You know, when you kind of get nervous, you make a certain face. So that's what I kind of heard from some of you. Thank you for sharing. Okay, does it talk about how he's feeling in this story? So it does talk a lot about how he's feeling. What are some things that he says he feels? Go ahead and turn and talk to a partner about how he's feeling. Okay, I heard a lot of people say that he felt nervous. And then at the end, he kind of felt proud. That's what I heard from some of you. Very good. I like how you guys used lots of details. And then we talked about this kind of throughout the whole story of using dialogue. He did a really good job at using dialogue in his story. There's quotation marks in here. It says said Jabari or said dad. That's dialogue. So that was really good. So now what I want you to do. So this was Jabari's personal narrative focused on a small moment in his life. Now we're going to start working on our own personal narratives. So I want you to think to yourself something that you have experienced, something that you would like to write about. That's just a small moment in your life. It's not your whole life, but it's just a small moment. You're going to each get a sticky note, and you can either write or draw a picture of what you're going to write about eventually down the road. We're not there yet. We're just writing or drawing a picture of the personal narrative we might want to do. Okay? So each of you will have a sticky note. Go ahead and write it or draw. I would give about a few minutes for them to do that, and then turn and talk to your partner next to you about what you drew or wrote. And then we would share out if anybody would like to share out. Okay, so then I will collect all of the sticky notes from them. And then the last part I want to go over with you guys is this will be at the end of your project. You'll be creating a scratch project that goes with your personal narrative writing. So I'm going to show you one that I have created on Scratch. So I created a picture of a giraffe because last summer I went to the zoo with some of my family and our friends. We all went to the zoo and we got to see lots of different animals, and it was a lot of fun. So that is what I chose to do for my personal narrative because it's just a small moment in my life. And so this was my scratch project that I decided to do. So then tomorrow we'll be focusing on our class project. So we're going to be creating a class personal narrative writing and a scratch So we'll be creating a personal narrative writing as a class, and then we'll also be creating a Scratch project, so then you know what yours should look like as well. So that's what we will do tomorrow.